What's going on, guys? Matthew back again, this time for another TV review. Today we're reviewing Severance, Season 2, Episode 7, titled Chikhai Bardo. Let's get into it. Okay, this episode is directed by Jessica Lee Gagner, who is also the cinematographer, and she did a really good job in this episode, by the way. We'll talk a lot about that. This episode was written by Dan Erickson, who is the creator and showrunner. It's also written by Mark Friedman. Okay, so we start with Gemma at the college that she teaches at, and right off the bat, it is a much better image than we're used to seeing. I believe that they shot these flashback sequences with film. If they didn't, then they used a filter of some sort. But we start with her walking across campus, going to donate blood. Is where she meets Mark, and they discuss what they're reading. She's reading the exact same book that later, towards the end of the episode, the what I refer to as the dentist, he picks up a book and reads the title. It's the same book before she hits him with that chair. Just something I noticed I thought was interesting. And we see here that they're both teachers. I believe Mark has stated previously that he was a history teacher and she was a different teacher of some sort. And I also have a note here that Gemma looks way better with this haircut that she has when she's a teacher. We then see that she is in present day at Lumen as herself. She's actually Gemma, and she's getting her blood drawn for some reason. We still have to figure out what all this is about. Sheep, blood, dentist, a lot of strange things going on. We don't know if it's cloning, but we do know that Adam Scott, who plays Mark, said that if this show was about cloning, it would make the show way more boring. So either he's lying or the show is more interesting than we could possibly think. We then cut back to Devin and the black lady. Forgive me, I still don't know what her name is. Let me know in the comments below. But we cut back to Devin and the black lady who are overseeing Mark as he is unconscious. And I have to comment how great the writing is. I know I've talked about it before. I probably talk about it every episode. But the black lady reveals to Devin that Jim was alive. And also just the way that she reacts to her treating her brother this way. She says something to the effect of, if you think I'm just going to stand by and let you do this, you're wrong. It just, everything about this, the way it was written and performed, seemed exactly how any sibling would react to this situation. Maybe they could have done a little more about her freaking out, about her being in the house, but I just felt like the way this episode started, the way Devin reacted was very realistic. When they come back to Gemma, this is a very Gemma-centric episode. We come back to her, and she's being asked if she were in a mudslide, would she fear more of suffocation or drowning? And she tells the lady drowning, and the meter goes up. I don't know if she was lying or if she was, lying on purpose to see what would happen. But more weird questions, more weirdness in this show. She gets dressed to get ready to go to the Wellington room, and something very odd happens. When she gets to the room, the lady has to put her hand on the door, and it pricks a little bit of blood from her. This episode shows that there's a lot about blood. We start with blood donation, we cut to Lumen taking her blood, and then we have this woman getting blood pricked from her finger just to open the door. Something about blood payments. I'm going to harp on this. I mentioned it like 2 reviews ago. The big white guy held up his hand like this, much like the Satan statue. Are these people experimenting with blood? I'm going to eliminate cloning just because of what Adam Scott said. Now, he could have been trying to get us off the trail, but there's definitely something weird going on. I don't know why that lady would need to have the blood pricked from her finger just to open a door. But let's see, we go from there. And we finally see the guy with the cart, who I'm going to call the dentist. We're first introduced to him as a quote unquote dentist who is now speaking to Gemma's innie. And we see that she goes in here. Something's done to her mouth when she exits the room. The lady tells her that she's been in there for 2 hours. We have no idea if that's even true. We can't trust anything these people say. They tried to tell Mark and them that they had been gone for 5 months when really it had been just like the weekend. She then leaves, and we see that she passes the room called Cold Harbor, which we know is associated to Mark and what he is up to. We then get back to Devin, who is still overseeing Mark, and there's a very great transition that goes past Mark's head and out his eye into the present, or into the past, I mean. And it switches to that great film look. Like, again, I don't know if it's a filter or if they actually shot on film. I hope they actually shot on film, but it looks so much better, and it goes a long way to show how cold and how calculated Lumen is. Even when Mark is home, that is still shot on digital, but we cut back to the past with Mark at school, and that film look just looks so good and warm. And there's yet another great transition when he's discussing the ants that he got her, and when she had actually told him that she liked plants and he misheard her, so he got her ants, and she walks past him, and it's an absolute seamless transition with her hair, and it cuts forward in time to where they're now a couple, and I believe they're living together. And the director, who I believe I previously mentioned that she is also the cinematographer, she does a great job of transitioning through time. And we see so many things happen here where she reveals to Devin that she's pregnant because she refuses to drink alcohol. And then we immediately cut to her miscarriage, which was devastating. She gets in the shower and Mark tries to help her. It's a very sad situation. Then we cut to the computers beneath the severed floor, who are directly connected to Haley and Mark and all of them, our crew's computers. Very, very odd here. The observers are dressed and look very similar to each one of our crew members. If you take another look, the one that observes Mark kind of looks like Mark, and the one that observes Haley is another redhead. The one that observes Dylan is another fat kind of black guy, and the one that observes Irv even has Irv's mustache and haircut. I have no idea what this can mean unless these people are observing them to take over their body at some point. I have no idea. I don't know why they would need to look the same, but it's here that we see the fat white guy that we're used to seeing at the boardroom when he was doing Milchek's performance review. And we also see the who I'm going to refer to as the dentist. He's dressed as a coach. He's got a whistle and everything. We don't know at that moment why, but we do find out later that the reason he's dressed like that is because Gemma is going to different rooms, living out different lives with this guy. And we see that he really likes her. So there's a lot more to be discovered as far as the dentist goes. Very, very strange individual. We then go back to another flashback where we see Gemma and Mark going to a fertility clinic. And if you pay attention, I noticed it my first time, but I didn't notice who it was. On my second viewing, I noticed that the doctor they walk past, he clearly eyes Gemma. He looks right at Gemma. That is the exact dentist that is assisting her in all these rooms. So he's working at this fertility clinic where she signs up. And I'm thinking that Lumen has to somehow be associated with this fertility clinic in some way. It seems to be that Gemma agreed to do this study at Lumen, and I wonder if the reason she agreed was that they would promise that they would be able to make her fertile, give her the ability to produce life. We then come back to another flashback where Mark is pricking her in the butt with something. People in the comments have to let me know what that's all about. I'm not married. I don't know anything about fertility or anything like that. So let me know in the comments below what that injection is for. We then come back to Gemma, not her Annie, but her Audi, talking to the dentist about the different rooms she's been to, and she confirms that she's been to 6 that day. And we see that Mark's observer is observing Gemma's x-ray as she speaks. And he says to her that Kier will take away their pain. And she states very clearly that she just wants him to talk normally, which he refuses. No one in this show talks normally because we have no idea what's going on. We then come back to Devin and the black woman, and it's here that Devin decides that she's going to call Miss Cobell. And I found this very strange, and you'll have to help me in the comments because I don't know why Devin would trust Cobell. And I also don't know how Devin knows that Cobell no longer works at Lumen. Now, that's not a mistake that they would make. So that at some point, Devin must have found out, either Mark told her. It had to be Mark. I don't know how else Devin would know that Cobell doesn't work there. I really don't know why she would trust Cobell so much to force this black lady to leave, who clearly knows more about this than Devin does. So very strange there. That was kind of my only problem with the episode, and I'm not even sure if it's actually a problem. So just let me know in the comments below if I missed anything regarding that. We then come back to another flashback where Gemma is looking at these cards that she was sent by, I'm guessing, Lumen. She says it was sent by that fertility clinic. but clearly they're associated with Lumen, and they're testing her to see if she's a good subject for whatever they're doing. But she's looking at these cards, and one of them is called Chikhai Bardo, which is the name of the episode. And that card is about a man fighting his own psyche, and it's also called ego death. And it has to be related to what Mark and Irv and all of them are going through in terms of fighting their own innie, I guess. Can they overcome their own ego? We'll have to continue to watch the show to see what that's all about. But yeah, it says that she got it in the mail from the fertility clinic, which must be related to Lumen. And then they get in a fight or an argument because Gemma, because Gemma says that she feels like shit and she feels like she's beat to shit. We then cut back to Gemma, who's now a different innie. She's dressed differently, and she's now in a room where there's a simulated plane crash. Now the dentist is dressed as someone who's serving her food on this plane as he's getting thrown around, and she thinks she's about to die. This whole Lumen thing must be about the study of just the psyche, but I don't know what they're doing that is so evil that it would cause that black lady to kill that man with a baseball bat in season 1. So we know that whatever they're up to is not good. Also, PD said that they're killing people. So we'll have to see. I just love how the show introduces really strange things with a lot of confidence that these things will be answered later. I really enjoy that. We then see that the Mark observer notices that Mark is not at his desk, and the big white guy states how his nosebleeds are really setting them back because Mark's not able to get the work done because he's stuck at 96%. He's very close. And it's here that I really noticed that the big white guy no longer has deep blue eyes. He has brown eyes. When we have seen him previously, he's had very, very blue eyes. And also remember, when we first see the dentist, his eyes are very blue. There's something regarding blue eyes, and I'm wondering if they somehow have the soul of Kier, and they're able to put Kier's soul into different individuals. So when the big white guy is doing Milchek's performance review, is that actually Kier inhabiting the body of that big white guy? And are they able to just take his soul out of different people and put them in different individuals? Why would this big white guy all of a sudden have brown eyes? It's a very, very strange situation regarding the blue eyes, and it has to mean something. We then cut to another Gemma Innie who is living the life of a wife who is writing Christmas cards, and she's writing like a million of them to the point that her hand hurts and you can't even really read her handwriting. And it's here that she says that it's always Christmas because clearly that Innie, that's all she ever does. It's always Christmas, and she's always writing Christmas letters. And it's here that she leaves the room. He tells her that he loves her. She doesn't say anything. And then he reminds her to say, "I love you" back. And this is very reminiscent of what we're going to see in a little bit, where the last time Mark saw Gemma alive is when she was leaving. She said, "I love you." He didn't say anything. She comes back and reminds him to say, "I love you" back. I wonder, again, this has to be some kind of mental test to see if she remembers anything. It's much like when Helena met Mark at that Chinese restaurant and she purposefully got Gemma's name wrong. There's a lot of strange mental stuff going on here, mental gymnastics that I don't really understand at this point. We then go back to Gemma, who is now her outie in her room. The dentist comes to her room and lies to her about Mark. He says that it's been 2 years, he remarried, and he has a daughter with a different woman. And this is either a test or this man really likes Gemma and really wants her to move on. And it makes me wonder if in one of these rooms, if one of her innies actually likes this dentist. And now we know that Mark's innie has had sex with both Helena and Helly. And it makes me wonder if Gemma's innie, one of her innies, has a relationship with this dentist and that they've actually been also having sex, because we know that Gemma went to 6 rooms. We don't know if that's the biggest amount of rooms or largest amount of rooms that she's gone to, But we've only seen, I believe, 4 or 5. We've seen the plane crash room, the dentist, the Christmas, and we know there's a gym room because we saw him dressed as like a gym coach. Now, is that the room where she has a relationship with him? We'll have to watch more to find out. She then hits him over the head with a chair when he brings up the book, the very book that she was reading when she first met Mark. There's something important there as well. We then cut back to a flashback, which I previously mentioned, which is when Mark last saw Gemma, and she says, "I love you," and she has to tell him to say, "I love you" back. She leaves, and it's here that we come back to the present, and we see that Gemma is trying to escape, but when she goes up the elevator, she becomes Miss Casey, and Milchek comes in, clearly in a rush. He's got his jacket on, and he convinces her to go back down, and Gemma kind of breaks down because she realizes that she can't really escape because she doesn't have power over her own brain. And there's a great transition here where it shows Mark learning from the cops, or about to learn, that Gemma's dead, and he's staring right into Gemma in the present, who is finding out that she's not going to be able to leave. And there's another great shot with Mark with half his face covered in darkness, and you can only see his mouth. A lot of great shots in this episode, obviously because it was directed by the cinematographer, and they just let her go to town on this. It was really good. Mark finally wakes up, and we see that maybe he's fully integrated. Maybe he's fully reintegrated, and he has the memories of everything from Gemma to Helena to Helly to everything. And I have a final note here that now I still feel bad for Helly, but now I also feel bad for Gemma because her husband has had sex with another woman multiple times, and now there's 2 different women. Helly, not Helena. Helena is not a good person, but Helly and Gemma. I now feel bad for both of these women, and strangely enough, these are both the women that Mark's in love with. And now that he's reintegrated, what are his feelings now? I mean, you got to think he's got more feelings for Gemma. They lived basically a whole life together, tried to have a child and everything, and he's only known Helly for a couple months maybe, but very, very good tension, very good drama. I cannot wait to see where this goes. This season so far has been absolutely tremendous. Each episode is better than the one previously. I think I said that episode 5 was the best episode of the show, and the past 2 episodes have been better than that episode. This is easily the best episode of the show, and so far season 2 is better than season 1. I think if somebody says season 1 is better, I think they're crazy. We'll see how this season 6 to landing, how the show 6 to landing, but so far, this is absolutely the best show on television. I obviously don't watch every show on television, but if there are any shows better than this one right now, please let me know in the comments below. But guys, that's the review for Severance Season 2, Episode 7, titled Chikhai Bardo. If I missed anything or if you disagree, please let me know in the comments below. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and you guys take it easy.